Season 3 of The Mandalorian has come to an end, and I've got a whole lot of thoughts about it. It's got some awesome stuff, and it has some not so awesome stuff. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your thoughts on Season 3 of The Mandalorian. This is a spoiler review, so feel free to spoil away down below in the comments section. Also, originally, I shot this video intending for my season finale and season review to be one video, and then I shot it. Actually, I'm still shooting it. This is the same video, the same recording right now. But it turned out I talked about each of those things for about 20 minutes, and I went, I should probably just divide that into two different videos. So some of the language in here might imply that this is part of the same video. They're two separate videos. They were shot at the exact same time. I'm literally reshooting my intros at the end of it. I got to the end of it and realized, better change this up a little bit. This is a little bit too much for a single video, and it is two separate topics, so it does make sense to be two different videos if I'm gonna talk and rant for as long as I ended up doing in both of these videos. With that said, here's my season review. And simply put, I think without question, this was the weakest season of The Mandalorian that took some of their best plot ideas that easily could have been great and chose the weirdest way to tell this story, where if you just kind of look at the starting point when we're going into it, where season 2 left off with the trailers teased, with even the first episode teased, there's a lot of potential there. And then as the season developed, the ideas they put out there, there's a lot of great things in here where you look at it and you go, Mandalorians reclaiming Mandalore. Obviously a great plot line for a show called The Mandalorian. And you set up Bo-Katan and the journey, the arc that her character's having of growing, changing from who she was before. Cool. All right. And then you have this very interesting conflict of Bo needs the Darksaber. That's the thing that she wants. And the person that has it is one of her current allies, Mando. Maybe even a friendship's forming there. And the only way she can gain it is by defeating him in combat. That's a very interesting conflict, tension. How is this ally going to defeat her friend to gain the sword she needs to accomplish her goal of leading her people and reclaiming Mandalore? Oh, that's an interesting conflict. Oh, wow. There's a lot of dramatic tension in that. Very interesting. And then you have Mando needs to reclaim his honor. He took his helmet off, so now he needs to go and bathe in on Mandalore. He's never been to Mandalore. Oh, that's interesting. You've never been there. That should be really cool. The journey that he'll have to go through to be able to do that. Oh, very interesting. Then as the season goes along, there's ideas about the incompetence of the New Republic. That's interesting. That makes the sequels better because it answers the question, how on earth did the First Order rise up? Like, how did this big gigantic thing happen that they missed because they're incompetent? Oh, okay. You're making this other thing better that had some faults. You're making it better. And then when you eventually get Moff Gideon's scheme in all of this we're on the show The Mandalorian. He's been using Mandalore to build out his own little army of super death troopers with Beskar armor. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's nice. On paper, you write those on a whiteboard. Those are all great plot lines that make it sound like this is going to be the best season of the show. But the way it played out, the way they told all of those stories, none of them were actually as interesting as the idea themselves. You should kind of walk through this. Mando needs to reclaim his honor. Stories are compelling based off of, you have a character that has something that they want. There's a desire that they have. And then they have to go through obstacles to obtain it. And then through the process of going through those obstacles, they grow and change. And maybe they get the thing they want, or maybe they don't, or maybe they change in the process and realize they wanted something different altogether. But a story is compelling based around the conflict between what they want and how are they going to get it, the path to get there. So they make this huge deal. Mando took his helmet off, and he took the helmet off because the journey that he was on in the first two seasons was this person who's always been a loner, been a part of a tribe, but really a loner, finds someone that he cares deeply about. So much so that in his journey to rescuing Grogu, he will do anything. In fact, he will violate his most sacred of beliefs. He will never take his helmet off. He will violate everything that he believes in because he wants to save Grogu. And so he's in a moment, he takes his helmet off, and you feel like in that episode, you feel like, wow, he took his helmet off because he had to. Wow, that's a big deal. And then in the next episode, he takes his helmet off again, not because he had to, but because he so loved Grogu, he had to see Grogu with his own eyes. So it's such a personal thing that there was something he wanted to save Grogu, to connect with Grogu, so much that he would violate that which he cares most about and take his helmet off to save Grogu, to see Grogu. Now, he must go on this big journey to regain his honor. He did something that violated the core of his beliefs. So he must go to the great lengths to regain his honor. Episode, you must go to Mandalore, this dangerous place, and bathe in the waters. Oh, wow, that's going to be a cool season-long journey of him regaining his honor. No, the very next episode violated his entire belief system because he valued something so much. Storytelling, seasons 1 and 2. Season 3, episode 2, just goes to Mandalore. I've never been here before. Not a big deal that he goes there. And, he faced obstacles, like a creature captures him. But he just essentially doesn't have to grow and change to obtain what he wants. He just gets there, takes a bath, we're good to go. The next episode is like, whoa, that was anticlimactic. That was a big deal. He took his helmet off, and all he has to do, you just take your helmet off and you just hop in these waters right here. Just clear out the spider creature out of the caves, and you can take your helmet off whenever you want. You just need to hop in over here. There's nothing to it. It wasn't like this actual big journey. It wasn't this story. The obstacles for him between I did something and violated my way to regain my honor. I must do so much to regain. No, I just need to take a bath on this planet that doesn't have anyone on it. That's weird. And along those same lines, make a huge deal. The Darksaber. That Bo needs it. Mando has it. That's a great conflict. And you ended the last season like, oh crap, how are they going to resolve this? So what happens? Well, Bo has to save Mando when he falls for the spider guy. And then Mando forgets that happened, jump forward 5 episodes or whatever. And people are like, we're not going to follow Bo. She doesn't have the Darksaber. And Mando just goes, oh, that's right. Oh crap. Yeah, I forgot. Here, Bo, you can have it. Remember, you saved me. That thing defeated me. You defeated it. Boom, you get it. That's it. You introduced this fantastic, dramatic conflict. Allies, friends have to fight each other in order for her, storytelling. A character wants something. They have to go through challenges, overcome obstacles, grow and change in order to gain the thing that they want, or change so much so that maybe they decide they don't need it anymore. And the obstacle for her is her friend ally Mando has it, and the only way to get it for her to defeat him. That is interesting. It's an interesting conflict, interesting dramatic tension, an interesting obstacle for her to overcome that you go, man, how are they going to get out of that? That's when you have a great setup for something interesting. The least interesting way to resolve it is 5 episodes later, Mando going, oh yeah, remember the spider thingy? Yeah, he beat me, you beat it. Boom, you get it. Loophole. I found a loophole in the system. Here you go. You got it. That's not satisfying. It just feels lazy. It feels like ignoring all the potential for something awesome to happen. Great storytelling. You set up great storytelling and then delivered mediocre storytelling. Along those same lines, other big complaint about this season is that it's meandering. Took too long for its plot to kick in, and then it just felt way too side quest heavy. Now, as soon as anyone criticizes this show for the side quests, people immediately go, this show's always been about side quests. And that's always been the criticism. You're correct. And to an extent, I would say you're correct that, and I think the show needs to work on that a little bit. Quite a bit. after this season a lot. There's a difference though. Season 1, the side quests, first off, there's the novelty of it's our first live action Star Wars show. So it's just novelty of the newness of it. Second, I would say, and you can go back and you can watch my reviews of that season. The thing I enjoyed about most, not all, of the side quests in season 1 is that they're like borrowing from classic Western story templates. So episode 4, where Cara Dune is introduced, it's the Magnificent Seven, where village is being overrun by people that with everything they have, they recruit a couple mercenaries to come in, train them, save the day, stop. So it's fun. It's like a classic Western, classic, actually also samurai story, since Magnificent Seven came from the Seven Samurai, classic stuff. And then you have the heist episode, classic stuff of our gunslinger. Not a good episode right around this point in time. Not a good episode. But gunslinger gets hired to go on a heist. He's betrayed. Once again, also these episodes introduce great characters. Cara Dune. Whatever Bill Burr's name is. I'm blanking on it at this particular moment. Talking for too long in a single take. Even the gunslinger, the not so great episode in this little window of time, introduces Boba Fett. So there's like the novelty of just the newness of it was there, but also they did things in there that like they were better standalone stories, and they sprinkled in great characters that you're like, oh, it's fun to meet them. Season 2, definitely you could argue, and you can watch my videos. I said this all along. The problem with season 2 was 4 or 5 of the episodes of the season was Mando goes to this place to try and figure out how to get to the Jedi or the Mandalore or Jedi or Grogu. There he meets a cameo of someone from the Star Wars lore. They have an adventure. Mando learns where he needs to go next. He goes to the next planet where he's trying to learn the next piece of information to find the Jedi or find Grogu. He meets a cameo from Star Wars lore. They go on a little adventure. And then at the end, he's told the next place he needs to go. Rinse and repeat. Like 4 or 5 of the episodes of the season are that. I said that 2 years ago while it was airing. That is a problem with that season. At the same time, there are much more fun adventures and much more fun cameos than we got in season 3. So like Timothy Oliphant as Cobb, who's introduced in the Aftermath books, wearing Boba Fett's armor. There's just like stuff in that that's interesting. And it's a great, once again, classic Western type story of there's the marshal trying to do his part, cuts a deal with this guy, this gunslinger guy that shows up. You work with me, I'll help you. Boom. Solid stuff. Likewise, some of the ones are a little bit more like simplistic, but you have like Bo-Katan show up and it's like, oh, it's fun to see her. You have Ahsoka show up. So maybe it's a little bit of superficial, like the Jangle the Keys, like, wow, look who it is, Ahsoka in live action. That's amazing. We're finally getting to see that. It's that sort of stuff, but it was a fun version of it. So simple stories, but there was something in them that made them interesting. And then Boba Fett shows up. There was something that made them pop and stand out, even when some of them were pretty simplistic in their story, little side quests. Season 3 does side quests minus anything that's even the jangling the keys, minus anything that's superficially, oh, that was really cool. They're just side quests that aren't very interesting. Or even stuff like episode 2, Mando goes to Mandalore for the first time and reclaims his honor, and it felt like an inconsequential side quest. It wasn't. It was a huge thing for him. 2 huge things. Going to Mandalore, reclaiming honor, and Bo finding her faith by seeing the Mythosaur. It's actually big, important stuff, but it felt inconsequential, like just like a little side quest. People compared it to episode 2 of season 2, which is, prior to this season, I would say easily the worst episode of the show. Just kind of felt like Mando shows up and gets caught by a thing, gets rescued, whatever. Felt inconsequential, even though it wasn't. And then, you have an episode where a kid is kidnapped and they have to go rescue the kid. It's like just forgettable Star Wars stuff. The novelty of season 1 is there. It's not as interesting as season 2, or it's not as interesting as even the stories of season 1. Doesn't have the superficial cameoisms of season 2. It was just kid got kidnapped. It reminded me of Ewoks, Caravan of Courage, the first made-for-TV Ewok movie where people crash land on a planet, somebody gets kidnapped, they have to go on a little adventure to save the person. Just kind of felt inconsequential. And then we're solving crime. And the cameos that we do this season are Jack Black, Lizzo, Christopher Lloyd. Like, none of them were good. Love Christopher Lloyd. Oh, he's in stores. Wow, this is incredible. In fact, when he showed up on that show, just 2 days before that, 3 days before that, I'd been at a MegaCon where he was there. So I saw him like in person, like he's right there. And then 2 days later, he's right there. And they had announced it. Was cool. But did he give a great performance? No. Did he have an interesting character? No. Jack Black I like Jack Black. He doesn't really fit in Star Wars. like his bag of tricks is odd. And then Lizzo, if you're watching a show and you go, wait a minute, is that Lizzo? What's Lizzo doing here? Immediately, that's a lose. It's a lose because it's pulling me out of the story. The cameo doesn't serve the story. It doesn't serve the character. It's just to go, hey, look who it is. Is she an amazing actress? No, she's not. Why is she there? Because she's a famous singer? Well, so why would she be in Star Wars? It's just distracting. So these side quests that don't have anything interesting to offer and cameos that distract from the story. Final thing to talk about here, and I kind of touched on a lot, but just the story flow was, once again, very odd. Where Mando regaining honor, that feels like that should be episode 4 or 5, takes a while. But all this stuff that happens in episode 5 and 6 with the pirates feels like that should be episode 3. So certain plot lines resolved way too early, way too easy. Other ones, it takes way too long before they kick in. A lot of the mythology introduced in episodes 7 and 8, the last 2 episodes, that feels like that needed to be teased throughout the whole season. Like, the season's about them reclaiming Mandalore. They get there in the 2nd episode and no one is there. You're trying to create remember, storytelling. Someone wants something and there's obstacles in the way. This season presents it as the Mandalorians want to reclaim Mandalore. Bo-Katan wants to reclaim Mandalore. What is between her and getting to Mandalore? A cloud. And a spider creature. That's all they set up as a threat until the end of episode 7. Like, everything they thought was true about the danger, it doesn't appear to be true. There's not a bunch of people there. So as an audience member, I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't they go back years ago? Why does this doesn't feel like, how is Bo gonna get the Mandalorians back on Mandalore? There's a cloud in the way. And a spider creature she defeated by herself. Storytelling. I want something, obstacles, conflict in the way. Conflict between her reclaiming Mandalore, not compelling. Until you get to the end of episode 7 where, Moff Gideon is there with an army. They decided to use the obstacle, the thing that keeps them from getting there, as a plot twist rather than as a ongoing story point of, so it felt for 7 episodes like, why don't they just go there? Just go. Why do you need anything to reclaim it? Nobody's there. Plot twist, there are people there. Not a lot of people, but they are powerful because they've been mining the Beskar. I don't think that was the right way to do it. I think you take that idea, and it made episode 7 great, but it made the season weak. Take that idea, they go to Mandalore to reclaim his honor, and there's Imperials there with Beskar armor. So in episode 2, you're like, oh crap, how's Mando going to reclaim his honor? How's she going to bring people back to conquer this? There's Imperials with the strength of Mandalorians here. Crap. That's not good. So it's a threat. It's a conflict between what Mando wants, what Bo wants, what the Mandalorians want. There's a conflict, an obstacle in the way to getting there. And so the whole season is about them doing everything they can to unite all the tribes to be able to overcome this big obstacle. Imperials with Mandalorian armor. We have to defeat them. How do we do that? Get everybody together. Bo makes friends with the mythosaur. Mando slowly builds alliances with this new Republic guy that needs help. So we get to our finale. Remember my version of it? A little bit better than theirs. A lot better than theirs. They should have let me write this season, I guess. They write the ideas on the whiteboard. Let me write it with probably some of you guys. But it was bizarre. All of these things, like we're spending so much time on like saving a person over here, stopping crime over there, rather than developing the actual plots of the season. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why they did it the way they did. And so whenever you say things like this, where you propose alternative versions, people are like, oh, you were just mad that your fan theory didn't come true. Like, no, it's not really that. It's that I get annoyed if I watch something and my version in my head feels better than the one that was presented. In particular, if my version isn't that clever. My 11-year-old going, oh, I bet the mythosaur is going to show up. That's why they introduced it, because he'll show up in the finale. That's not my son being a prodigy storyteller. That's him understanding basic storytelling. If you introduce something, you're probably going to pay it off. What is that? Chekhov's gun. If you put introduce a gun in the first act, you better fire it in the third. If you introduce the mythosaur in episode 2, he better show up in the finale. Nope. That's not me being like, my fan theory is not happening, or oh, I wanted my son to be right. It's just basic storytelling. What they did felt less interesting, more underwhelming than what they set up and what my brain came up with in light of what they set up. I don't want to be negative. Let's remember last year, really disappointed by 2 shows they put out. Really disappointed Book of Boba Fett, really disappointed by Kenobi, loved Andor, also loved Legends of the Jedi, the shorts about Dooku and Ahsoka. I thought those were great. So it's not like I've thrown in the towel on Star Wars. I enjoyed Star Wars that came out last year. But there's also some of these other shows that I just think are really dropping the ball and not nearly as good as they should be. And that is very, very frustrating. So there you have it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, come back tomorrow. I'm going to be ranking all 8 episodes of season 3 of The Mandalorian. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.